Alrighty. I'm going to show something in a little while here. It's not uncommon to have quite a lot of lamb losses. In fact, before illustrator rings started being used, 30% of lambs that were castrated would die. Before the yuppies horror called mulesing started on merino sheep, you'd lose about 80% more sheep to fly strike. And here they are protesting, saying that there's no reason to do it. And that also, when you mules, you're cutting off large chunks of flesh. They obviously don't know the difference between meat and wool. And, you know, if you cut off large chunks of flesh, I doubt the sheep would be walking away as easily as it does, even though it does have a sore ass for about 2.5 weeks. But anyway, they are doing research into, as always, they're doing research into why lambs die. They do think it's a bit to do with infection or some sort of bacteria that can get hold in the early stages of life before their immune system is sort of built up. But look, realistically, it's about 4 weeks, and they're looking sort of like they could sort themselves out. And with about 8 or 10 weeks, they're most likely to survive without a problem, even foxes trying to get them. But within that first 4 weeks, they're really quite vulnerable. Not steady on their feet, not sure what the hell they're even doing in general. And not surprisingly, the vast majority of lamb deaths are caused by wind chill factor. I have seen a lamb that was sort of about 6 weeks old, that should have, you know, under normal circumstances, survived without a problem. Its mother died on the, I wouldn't say top of a hill, but let's just say it was on a flat ground, an exposed area. It stood there all night next to its mother. I tried to chase it away about 5 or 6 times down into a gully. And if it had gone 20 metres, it would have been deep enough in this gully that wind chill factor wouldn't have been a trouble and it would have survived. But no, it was insistent that it had to stand beside its dead mother loyally, and that loyalty of standing beside its dead mother costed its own life that night, as it died of wind chill. So, you better get out now, because in a few seconds flat, I'm going to show you a few dead lambs, and where you've got livestock, you've got dead stock. And believe me, a lot of the time there's not a great deal you can do about it. Although in Western Australia, I can remember about 8 years of age, we had this area that they'd planted trees in 15 years ago, and the trees were getting a reasonable size. And there's also like big humps of dirt that they planted the trees on top of, and then it'd go back down and then back up again to another big hump of dirt, and the trees were planted on the top of all these big humps of dirt or something like that. Anyway, we used to put the heavily pregnant sheep in there, or, well, even just the, really just the sheep with young lambs, and we would do that if we knew that there was going to be a wind and, you know, it was going to drop to around freezing temperature. But in all honesty, like, it doesn't need to be even freezing temperature for wind chill factor to kill them. So, here we go. Okay, switch out now if you don't want to see it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I flipped its head over, it was sort of back the other way before. However, ants are starting to get into it. Been walking through the mud, as you can tell. Cold, mud on its tail. But that would just be wind chill. Could have been late last night. Most likely, yeah. There's another one over here. It seems the season started early. I thought it was actually, you tend to get the odd random one or two, but there's quite a lot of them all of a sudden now. And I mean, the grass hasn't really come back. It's still all just sort of dry crap. And I mean, they're going like hell to get what bits of green there are, because of course they have the nutritional content. This stuff here is like friggin' cardboard. And here we go again. Bloody adorable little thing. Like something out of a bloomin' picture book, except it's dead. Rather small, as you can see. Bloomin' perfect. I mean, it's you know, I mean, it's only rather thin wool, but absolutely flawless. Now the mark on it. It doesn't even really have mud on its legs. Okay, maybe a bit there. Sometimes that's actually stuff from the afterbirth. Poor little bastard. That would have died early hours this morning, I'd say. You can tell because bugs haven't really got into it yet. Poor little bugger. These make a very good, well, when they're live, they make a very good hot water blanket, but don't expect the mother to take them. Crickets. Anyone for trout fishing? We used to have shitloads of these, absolutely shitloads, years ago, and they do use them for fly fishing around here. And they're going all through the grass. They will not be interested in lambing. I'll grab that down past. Yeah, just the way it goes, really. During the height of lambing season, you can actually open the mouth and you'll realise that the tongue has been bitten out, and that's when the foxes have got more dead lambs than they can eat. They go for the best meat, and the best meat is the tongue, and they deliberately go in, nuzzle their way in, open, you know, to get the mouth open, bite the tongue off, and I mean they bite it right, really far back, and then the muscles naturally just contract, sort of thing, and then they go stiff. Now that's the reality of the situation, and you think losing two's some big shenanigan. Well, you obviously haven't lived on a farm. I worked on another farm, sort of way out, whoop there, and every morning, I'm not joking, we'd pick up, 20 to 25 some mornings, no joke. I mean, there's that many, we'd fill a few, like half fill a few grain sacks, 2, 3, 4 grain sacks of dead lambs. And there's a particular place we used to drop them all to try and divert the foxes away from the live ones by having this big area where there's all the dead ones. And of course, the smell drifts on the wind pretty quick, and of course, that was our way of trying to turn their attention away from the live ones, hoping that they would go to this area where we dumped all the dead ones, purely because it was easier for them to smell. But that's just the way she rolls, and it is bloody unfortunate. It's a waste of a potential sheep that could be potentially worth more than $100, and give you year after year of wool, and so on and so forth. But I mean, there ain't shit you can do about it, and I mean, you know, realistically,
it's majority bones and intestines, and when something dies, you don't risk using it for meat. They do use it for pet food, but you would not at all use it for human consumption, and I'm not going to use it for cat consumption either, because you don't exactly know the causes of death, although you can assume it's wind chill. It could in fact be bacteria, it could be other things, and I have seen lambs dying of other things, which it's weird. They basically stop breathing, and then the heart would stop. And if you gave them mouth to mouth, they would keep going, so long as you continue to give them mouth to mouth. And as soon as you stop that, you'd see the pupils enlarge, which is basically, that's the way. I don't stuff around with pulses and bullshit. I check what the pupils are doing, and that'll give me the indication of if they're died or not. Things can be tested if they're brain dead or not by shining a torch into their eyes. You may have seen paramedics doing crap like that, shine a torch in. If your eye contracts, it means you're not brain dead. If it stays open, large, it means you're either dead or you're at least brain dead and your physical body may still be alive, in which case you can live on a blooming machine for years and never wake up out of it because your brain literally is buggered anyway. But yeah, it's just the way she rolls. And now, I'll look at something else delightful. If you don't like a lot of blood, you won't want to see this next part, but this is what a sheep placenta looks like. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Harden up. That is quite fresh. It's only been an hour or two ago. This is the whole vein structure. Finer vein structure going through there. Often lambs come out and they'll have yellow. You see the yellow over there. They sort of have this yellow stuck in their wool, and then that'll sort of wash off or whatever. And sometimes the sheep will lick it off. Sometimes it won't. It'll just sort of dry out and fall off, or you know, the rain or something will sort of help get it out. But yeah. This is the reality of farms, you know, and just the way it rolls. If you want more livestock, that's just the way it is. Alrighty, since I found the dead lambs, which I'll have to move before long, I haven't done much except pick a bit of scrap metal out. And yeah, I did find that though, 5/16 bit. So going to get the impact driver, and I've got to stuff around with a few things. I've got to get up on the roof too. There's a valley gutter there, and all these cypress pine muck is filled up in it. And I believe the valley gutter is sort of made out of 2 pieces, and then it's got silicon sealing the 2 bits, but I don't think it's sealing very well. So I've got to sweep all the cypress pine stuff off and then let it dry out, and it'll probably be a tomorrow job that I'll put a bit of silicon on it or something. We'll see how we go. I also made a downpipe pot out of a piece of pipe up there, and used a nice big 5/16 self-tapper to hold it initially before I went along and riveted all the rest of it. And then sort of, I've since found a proper downpipe pot. I don't know if it's even worth really putting it on, but what I do know is the 5/16 self-tapper is banking up a whole heap of bloody leaves and stuffing the whole thing up. So I've got to take that out and put in a dirty big rivet, and there's also a few other bits and pieces. It's valley gutter just has an open end, it just goes flying out over the top of the veranda roof, so I want to sort of close the end up a little bit, just to sort of help redirect the water down into rainwater, because there's into the rainwater tank, because I'm quite likely to actually get one of the bathtubs and stick it out there near the solar panels, out yonder, and that will be sheep water, at least for winter. Probably not supposed to be doing this, or supposed to be mentioning it in case someone else watches, but they probably haven't watched to this point. But I'm thinking of getting all the sheep and whacking them in my place during the winter to keep the grass down, letting the rest of the property grow. And then after winter I'll be able to easily find any of the serrated tussock, plus we'll have a whole stack of green grass in the rest of the property without any problems. So I might be doing that, and we'll need to have some sort of source of water. Basically the fence from the almonds in front of my house right down the hill has no source of water for sheep, so this rainwater system on my house might be becoming that source of water. Alrighty, then I can show this sort of video footage. I'm up here on the roof. 4mm drill bit. I may be needing this. I have got an entire set of drills for impact drivers that have never even flipped opened, ranging from about 3mm to 8mm or 6mm or something, I don't know. I think it's 3 to 8mm or something, 10mm, something like that. And of course, like a lot of these tools I have, I don't know where the hell it is. So I've bought the drill up so that I can actually use the normal drill bits in case I've got to drill through where that thing is to put another rivet on. But anyway, this is all the leaves and shit. Mostly cypress pine. There's a bit of bark and a bit of eucalyptus leaves and that as well. Guess what? There's a 20 watt semi-flexible panel. I had a lot of expansion foam here. This is a real bitch. It always leaks in through here, so I had a mess of a shitstorm to try and get it out. And there was expansion foam, but it was the cheap stuff that's not UV resistant. So when I replace the roof, a lot of this is going to get a major shake-up. So all this bullshit hopefully shouldn't exist. I've got to replace the battens that all the roof's mounted on. They're just getting old, to be honest. My sister's roof is even worse because at least I've got some galvanising left. But, you know, it's not as good as it could be. Unlike the bathroom roof. Look at it, all beautifully primed. The worst thing it's got is a bit of bloody lichen on it. When I worked at Designer Pergolas, well, you know, times we were allowed to stick our hand in the bin. And there was one stuff they had left over from a job which is way out of the way from where the main office and workshop was, but it was close to where I live, so I went and picked it up on the weekend. And that is exactly how I gave myself that big cut there. Not the cat one, but the other big one that goes right through there that you can sort of see curving in there. That was... yeah, long story, but anyway, it was picking these sheets up. So yeah, here's me little... Try and keep some of the heat inside the building. Well, you know, not all of it because some of it's going to go out the chimney, but to stop rain from getting in mainly. I put this on, and I still had a bit of smoke drifting into the kitchen when I only had this one. So I made this one, and I was going to have this so it would actually be sitting on top, and I could pull a little wire which would go right down through there, actually back into the bathroom, so I could lift this on and off, and we had a whole pivot system, and it just turned to shit straight away, and I couldn't get the bloody thing to move, and the wire jammed and everything, so I thought, bugger it. And that's actually the middle of an old, I think it's like an E.H. Holden hubcap or something, and that is actually stainless steel off the first, you know, those travel mugs, you know, the car coffee mugs that you have that are sort of like double wall so they keep the coffee warm longer. The first one of those I ever had stainless steel outsides, and that is where that stainless steel has come from. And I tell you, it's actually genuine stainless too. It's bloody good stuff. But yeah, never mind all that. see, parts of the roof are badly rusted, and there's other bits where it's sort of just not brilliant, but it's not as bad as like my sister's place is, sort of thing. But you know, it's just one of these things. It's all, there's that much bloody silicon here, there, and everywhere, and it's all just cruising to a big shitstorm. So it comes a day when we got to make the move, and I was hoping it was going to be this year, but it didn't, because well, we basically didn't have the money, but we did have the money and the time to do the box thorn, so it was one or the other, and of course it turned out the one that didn't cost as much money, the box thorn. There's a little screw there. I thought I had one on the opposite side, but you could see it was all banked up against there. That'd be bullshit. I had to try and get all this past it without getting it in it. Which probably isn't going to happen. A couple of rivets I've got there to hold in. That isn't a very big hole. That's the side of it there. Oh shit, the other side comes right through here. There's a possibility maybe I should have a go at snipping out a bit more with the tin snips, which would not be a terribly stupid idea. I might get those in a minute. There's some of the old screws that come off the roof. Of course, a lot of lead washers. I think that's a lead washer still there. And there's other funny nails that have got like a lead top on them. Oh, where is it? You should be seeing it there. Yeah. This was a bit of the weatherboards that never got painted, because this is in between me two peaks here, and I'm hanging right on the edge of the bloody skirting here. I put these bits of steel edging on here just to protect it, because that was just bare open blasted wood 4x2 beam that you might be able to see up in there. I'll just see, you could see it now. And just all exposed to the weather, I thought, well, stuff that. And instead of having proper flashings like that, all they've done is just got the sheets and then just bent the bastards and nailed them into this big bit of 4x2 that is basically under where this flashing now is. But anyway, solar panels. There's a little tank over there and a little stupid tree. As you can see, this all stops all this afternoon sun over there, but all this crap sort of stops it. But I mean, you know, it's still sort of live trees. I don't exactly want to knock them off. I have actually considered going and, well, basically going right through to where the little trees are there with an amorphous panel, which they don't expect them really to last much more than about 5 years, and they are very large and bloody heavy for the wattage you get, but they are great with low light levels, so I thought that might be an idea to boost power in the winter, but it sort of doesn't matter because we'll look after an on-grid house and I go and charge everything up there, so if I ever get a new laptop, fingers crossed I'll actually have a battery that's worth half a cracker. Anyway, better get on with all this crap. Craptacular. Well, I sort of started to think, why do it the hard way, and then got the vacuum. It's got two filters. The outer one's actually plastic so I can wash it. The inner ones are replaceable, and I'll see what shenanigans the welfare office is going to pull next week, but if they don't pull any that are too hard, I might go and buy some extra filters for this thing, because by hell it comes in handy, that machine, and fortunately the wet parts are actually just hitting the outer plastic filter, which I can give a bit of a soak later on or whatever, because it's actually only plastic, as I just said. Yeah, I'm sort of bending these up a little bit just to, they've got a little bit of twang in them, so you can sort of get all the shit out from underneath, and I'm picking a hell of a lot of stuff out from underneath, which is good because it stops it sort of getting in there and being wet the whole time and holding water in there like a sponge and then rusting things out worse. Not that it probably matters that much if I'm going to replace all this, although that's only the plan and I don't yet have the materials. So anyway, we shall continue on. Fortunately she's starting to get dry again after about that point there. It goes dry. The sun's getting lower. Yeah. Sun's going down fast. I had my father come over. I need to talk about plans for tomorrow. It's a bloomin', what's his name there? Bits of sheet metal. I cut the hole out bigger. The trouble is I used not the left and right snips, but just the aviation straight snips, and there was a flaming wrestle. It was like 0.8 mil. I'm trying to cut through this stuff, and yeah, you got to cut the right direction, but it's a bit hard when you're trying to cut it bigger, and it's blasted hard to get through to begin with. So I'm going to have to hammer down some of the bits that are standing upright, or sort of, I won't need pliers, I should be able to tap it in. Stupid rivet. It was a little bit too big, got it to go in, and then it wasn't long enough. And now the stub's stuck in the blasted riveter, so I might go down and get another rivet if I can. Of course, the camera's a piece of crap when it comes to light levels, so it's actually a bit brighter than it looks, but all the same, it is getting quite cool already. And I want to give Black Kitty a bath and work a few other things out, and yeah, probably come back. Damn, just dropped something. I want to, I don't know if you can barely see it, there's an angle, bump, 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 and I've sort of got to get another bit of steel and sort of sit it flat against the end of that, and then like trace onto it, and that'll give me the line where it should meet up with the existing stuff. And then you cut sort of tabs. If you've ever been involved in, well, mucking around with cardboard boxes, or any of those other things where you got tabs and then you glue them or whatever, you'll get what I mean when I sort of talk about tabs, and then I'll be able to rivet those down there and then just put a little bit of silicone in there, and then can't be too high because it's still got to flow off the end in case all this blocks up with leaves, which is a possibility during the winter. So it might only be an inch tall, but yeah, I want to do that, but that'll be a tomorrow afternoon job. Alrighty, back up here again. Yeah, rivet thing turned into a real circus. I had one that was too short, and then got a longer one, and it's still too long, and one of them got jammed in the pop riveter to the point I had to actually disassemble the bloody pop riveter, even to get your little centre bit out, and then I ended up putting a few more in anyway. It all worked out. It's got a number of them here and there, but I wanted one right on the front, and where I cut this bit of pipe and sort of cut slits, the pipe's like that, and I've cut slits down the gaps in between my fingers sort of thing, but that front one ended up being too long, and so then it doesn't sort of come up and sort of just bent on an angle, so it doesn't sort of really touch until its outer edge there. So that sort of was the stuff up when I made that homemade downpipe pot out of a bit of pipe back when I was fixing the house up originally. Anyway, using a bit of holding stuff in place and tracing, I made tabs and whatnot for that, and riveted in as so. You give me a bloomin' angle grinder, tin snips, a hammer, a square lump of 4x4 wood, and a pop riveter, and I can make a whole stack of shit out of sheet metal. The whole ashtray in the wood stove in my kitchen was just made that way. There's actually some of these were already like a giant big tray, like a big bit of channel, and all I've done was cut down the middle. Others of these flashings, it was just flat sheet, and I had to hammer it all down. No, it might not be the house, I think it was actually the, yeah, it was too. There's a bloody edging on the, what's his name's there? laundry shed, all those edges. There was a damn big, well, you probably saw when I was mucking around with that eucalyptus tree, 4x4 pine, and I had like a whole pack of this 4x4 pine, and I was bending over that and hammering it down to do all the edges of the, as you go around the corners on that laundry shed. Anyway, I'll try and get my hands underneath this and give you a bit of a better look. You see what I mean. This is all done up here with tin snips and a bit of blooming wood that was 4x4 that was going to go in the wood heater, and probably will still go in the wood heater because it's only about bloody 9 inches long. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd show that because I didn't bring my camera up and I had to come back up here with a bit of silicone. So we'll slap the silicone in and yeah.
Nice to see someone's on the blood draw. I'm working hard, eh? Sound asleep.